Bears versus Packers 2023 NFL season. Week 1 is here and the road to Phoenix begins now. I am excited to host Karan from the Irish Bears Show. We are going to discuss all about this upcoming game. We cannot wait to bring you more. Karan, welcome to the show, my man. Happy to talk to you.
Thanks for bringing me on. It's always good to talk Bears, and this week is a little bit more special when it's week 1, Bears Packers. It's always, you get a little bit amped up for it.
So what time is it where you are right now? Because just so everyone knows, you're filming in Ireland right now. Is that just to make sure? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in Dublin. I'm in the capital, as I like to say. But it is right now. It's 11:08 p.m. So yeah, it's good.
So you're 6 hours ahead of us right now. It's 5:08 p.m. Central Time in Chicagoland, where I'm recording from. So true dedication right there. This is what Bears fans are all about, man. Like, we're diehards. We go on our channels, we talk about it. And today I'm excited to talk about what the Bears have done to put themselves in the position that they're in today. So first question for you is, what was your favorite move this past offseason by Ryan Poles and company?
That's a tough one because they made a couple of really good ones. I think the obvious kind of answer to this is probably DJ Moore, just because the trade that they were able to pull off has kind of set them up for the future, but also improved the team a lot. We know how important that receiving core. We spoke about it prior to, or even just all throughout last season, and then once the off season started coming, that we need to get the number one receiver. And then we get to see it in camp, and we get to see it in the OTAs, and everybody's just like waxing lyrical about DJ Moore. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't say it was him. I think in terms of that move from Poles, kind of elevated the offense a little bit more. Like, there's still question marks at other areas of the offense, but when you look at receiver, I think Bears fans are a little bit more confident in what we have this year versus pretty much any year since that.
Year.
Yeah. So pretty much I think that has to be the best move of the offseason.
I love that answer because, DJ Moore was a huge acquisition. And also on top of it, you had Chase Claypool come in. So like the wide receiver room expanded. Just mine really quickly, and I want to hear your thoughts on it, was Darnell Wright. I think Darnell Wright brings this offense to an entire new level because of the fact that he's a rookie. He's a right tackle, which we've always seemed to struggle with finding. I mean, even when we had Charles Leno for the first year or two, I know my dad's listening and he's like ripping his hair out. Like, how could you ever say good things about Charles Leno? The dude hates Charles Leno. But, we have Braxton Jones, and Darnell Wright is a guy that I think we need because we do go against some tough pass rushers in the NFC North, and you play 6 of those games every single year around that. So DJ Moore and Darnell Wright, which sounds like we're both on the offensive side of the ball, which I think that leads into my next topic for you is, that's kind of what leads to this rivalry. And it's, the Packers have always been offensive driven. The Bears have always been defensive driven. The overall all-time record is 105, 95, and 6 in Green Bay's favor, with a 37-13 record over the last 25 years in favor of Green Bay. So the last 50 games, Green Bay has pretty much dominated. There's no doubt about that. But, you led into the topic really well. We have a new regime. We have a new coach. With this offense, what are you excited to see overall going into Sunday's game? And what do you think that Bears fans and Packers fans expect to see from the Bears?
It's tough, right? Like, the offense, I think it starts with the receivers, mainly because I'm kind of on the other side than a lot of Bears fans to think this is just going to work straight away. I think this is going to be a work in progress. Like, when you do bring in so many new faces, it does take time. Like, I would expect Justin Fields to take that next step forward. But you mentioned it yourself for Darnell Wright. We've seen it even for the best tackles that have come into the league. I always remember back when we played against Tampa Bay and Tristan Wirfs got kind of steamrolled by Khalil Mack with one hand and then didn't give up a sack for the rest of the year. So or even you look at the rookie season that Andrew Thomas had for the New York Giants, and people in New York were very worried about him. Then comes out the next year and looks like an All-Pro. So I think for me this year, if Darnell Wright looks like he can handle himself in the league, well, then I think you're on a trajectory to where he could be an All-Pro, and that's where I want to see improvements from kind of the offense. I want to see improvements from the offensive line. I don't think it's all going to click in week one. I think we're probably going to see certain splash plays where like that's what we've been waiting for. Your second point is very interesting, where what do Bears fans expect versus what Packers fans expect. It seems like it's on the complete opposite ends, because there's just been so much kind of infighting. And I think you can probably say the same thing about the Packers offense, right? Like Packers fans think that their offense is going to be great. Bears fans think it's going to be dog crap. And like, there's no in between. Yeah. Like, I think it just comes down to the quarterback. Bears fans believe in Justin Fields. Packers fans try and force themselves into thinking he's not a good player, which is, even at the very basic level, when you have an athlete like Justin Fields at quarterback, he's still going to be a weapon for you. So I think if the offensive line can hold up against the Packers, I think the offense will have success. I think if they struggle against the Packers defensive line, that's where we're going to see, this is going to take a little bit longer than we expected. And I think it's as simple as it comes down to that. If they can hold up even a little bit and give Justin a bit of time, we've seen it. When he has time, he's accurate. When he doesn't have time, he's not. And that's kind of the story of the NFL.
That was a very humbling comment, because, on Twitter right now, it's a bloodbath between Bears and Packers. It's pretty tough to be in sometimes. Like, I get DMs.
I will put a tweet out just to troll some people, and it's fun to see some of the Packers fans, because they go absolutely insane. And a lot of them, when they make comments, that it's like they don't have a rational thought on what they're trying to come up with. And sometimes it is funny to see some of the comments, but you can see within kind of Bears and Packers Twitter, like some of the people that are there are literally just doing it just to get like clicks and stuff like that. I just enjoy the absolute mayhem and carnage of putting something out there. Like, I think I said a day or two ago, or maybe it was a couple of days, like, we're 8 days away from like Jaquan Brisker getting like a pick six or something like that, just to kind of annoy people. But like, some of the talk on Twitter, it's funny, but it's absolutely carnage at this time of the year, when it's week one, Bears Packers, and neither fan base actually knows what their team is going to be like this year.
It's fun. Like, this is what the Bears-Packers rivalry we've been waiting for again. Like, it's actually legitimate. It's not going to be one-sided, because the Packers have been so dominant for that minus 2018. They've been so dominant for so long, and finally Bears fans have something to go after. And, kind of going off your points, I think you're totally right. Justin Fields, if he gets time, the Bears offense is going to succeed. You have Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and DJ Moore out there that are going to be running all over Green Bay's secondary. Then you have Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, and Mercedes Lewis, who are going to be all over as well up the middle. And then the running back room is absolutely stacked. So I think no matter what the Bears do, like, if the offensive line isn't doing anything, our running back room at least, and Justin Fields himself, has it shown that if they can't get the pass going, they can use their legs. So it's going to be a flip of the coin. A lot of injuries on the Packers right now going into the game. We'll get into that in just a second. But the defense is giving the Bears opportunities to excel at both. And I think that it's going to definitely be more of a run-heavy game. I don't think Justin Fields is coming out and throwing 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. It's a work in progress. But I think the stats are going to be sexier than they've been. I think Fields could throw for 250, maybe 2 touchdowns, but he's still going to rush a lot. Khalil Herbert's probably going to have a pretty big day too. But Rashawn Johnson, maybe. It all depends on the offensive line, kind of like what you were saying. But, before we go to Jordan Love real quick, what are you thinking stat-wise from Justin Fields during week one?
I tend to agree with you. I think he's probably going to get about 220 to 250 in terms of passing yards. I think it's still going to be a higher score game than people expect for week one. Like, I think that Justin will have an overall amount of probably 4 touchdowns. Now, I don't know if that's going to be 4 passing ones. I think that he probably will rush for one of those big runs that people aren't expecting because we've been focusing so much on the passing game. But I think we forget just how much of a dynamic athlete he is. And if the Packers break contain once, he's gone. And that we saw it last year against them. And I think a similar story could happen, especially if they can get DJ Moore going early, if they can get Cole Kmet going early, Chase Claypool. Well, if their defense has to start worrying about legitimate receivers, which we didn't have last year, and then if something does break down and he has space, he's gonna be able to take it to the house. So I kind of agree with you. I think you get kind of, let's say, 250, 260, maybe 2-3 touchdowns passing and one getting them himself. Could be even, we don't know what they're going to do when it gets into the red zone. There's so many options now. We saw what he was able to do last year as well. And that's what is exciting about this offense. And that's why I try and pull myself back a little bit, because I'm like, if it all works, it could be great. But I'm still at the point where I think it's likely going to work in the middle of the season where all these kind of components are just going to gel together. I think at the start, it's going to take a little bit of time. But hopefully there are weaknesses that the Bears can exploit in that Packers defense, especially in the secondary. And that's where I do think, look, Justin may not have it going all day, but really with the safeties that the Packers have, you could have one big play to DJ Moore and that's whatever, 60, 70 yards, and that's it.
Absolutely. I think that's what Bears fans need to be excited about. Fantasy owners of Justin Fields need to be super excited about him because he's going to be able to do both. He's still going to have a big game from that standpoint, but the Packers defense isn't as good as it once was. The Bears are going to have a field day, and the Bears offense got a lot better. From a Bears fan perspective, they're going to have a field day compared to the last couple of years. Are they going to have an NFL New England Patriots from 2005 to 2015 field day? Probably not, but it could happen. Let's flip it real quick. Let's talk about what Jordan Love is going to do to the Chicago Bears defense. The defense has gotten tremendously better. Secondary, a lot of those guys are going into their second year, including Jack Sanborn, Brisker, Gordon, Jalen Johnson is, entering year 4, and Eddie Jackson's the vet. And then you have a new defensive line, but you have Jordan Love, who has only started one game in his career so far. We don't know exactly what he is going to be able to do for this team entering the season. Lost a lot of weapons. His offensive line is hurt. A lot of it is hurt right now. What are you feeling from a Jordan Love perspective? What do you think he's going to do most? Is he going to be taking it himself? Is it going to be a run-heavy game for Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon? Or are you seeing a lot of pass out of Jordan Love?
If the Packers are smart, they'll run the ball a lot because we still have to prove that we can stop the run, because that's my biggest concern with the defense overall. I would love to say that Jordan Love's going to air it out, because if he airs it out, there's going to be 1 or 2 interceptions in there, because he does kind of, even when you've kind of seen him in limited action, there's times when he's throwing it deep that ball doesn't exactly get to where it's supposed to go, or receivers are having to turn around and try and get back to the ball. You do that in a regular season game and you're going to get picked off. Like, that's where I don't understand when people start talking about Justin Fields and Jordan Love, and they start giving Jordan Love a load of credit and don't give Justin Fields a load of credit. And I'm like, well, one of these guys has actually played in a meaningful football game. This is going to be Jordan Love's first real game. Like, let's be serious here. Like, the game that he did play, it was a meaningless game for the Chiefs, right? Like, at the end of the day, this is his first game where it actually matters. And we can say all we like that, he played this way in preseason, Justin Fields played this way in preseason. Only one of the quarterbacks actually knows what it feels like to go out there in a regular season game and have to compete, especially away from home. So that's where I think if the Packers are smart, they'll probably do the run heavy thing. The fact that you had guys like Romeo Doubs, you had Christian Watson that are nursing hamstring injuries, even if they get back, that's still a worry for them, because it only takes one play for them to be out. And if you damage your hamstring again, you could be out 4, 5, 6 weeks, and that's the last thing that they're going to want. So again, it all leads to the point of, I think they're going to go run heavy against the Bears in week 1. If that's the case, Bears have to be ready and they have to be able to stop it. If you're able to stop the run against Green Bay and you're able to get guys to pin their ears back and go after Jordan Love, you'll get to be on the front foot on defense. And that's not something that the Bears have done in a while. So I think that's one of the first things I'll be looking at when the Bears are on defense early in the game, because we've seen in the preseason games early on, the run defense has struggled, and then it's got gradually better as kind of the game went on. But that's something that can't happen against Green Bay. They need to be able to know their assignments. They need to be able to not make mistakes where you're going to get an Aaron Jones run for 20 to 25 yards. That can't happen. You got to make sure that you're limiting all those plays and put them in 3rd and long. I think if you're able to do that against a Jordan Love-led Packers offense, I think you give your defense a chance either to get interceptions or to at least put your offense in a position to succeed.
I couldn't agree more with what you said there. It really is going to depend on what the front 7 does against either the short coverage game, because the Packers love to run those short plays with their tight ends, or it's going to go on the run. When that Christian Watson news came out about his hamstring injury, so just to update you all, folks, is that Christian Watson was seen leaving practice today, grabbing his hamstring exactly like Chase Claypool, and Claypool was out for 3 weeks. We all know that. Hamstring is no joke of an injury. Kind of like Ron was just saying, you tear that thing, you're out for 6 to 8 weeks. And that's if you're lucky. Hamstring injuries are one of the worst in sports, obviously, besides your ACL, because it can take up half your season. And, you take away those 2 guys, especially Christian Watson on this offense, you're forced to run the ball. And it's going to be a huge test for this front 7 on the defense. I think that you're going to see a ton of rotation with Javon Dexter and Zach Pickens constantly up that middle. You're going to want the biggest bodies possible to be able to grab either a jersey or a pad or something. And then, Yannick and DeMarcus Walker coming off the edges, they're going to be flying on blitz all the time because they know that they're going to be running the ball. So why just stuff every single hole possible? Probably going to see a run coverage breakdown as well from the linebackers. And hopefully you see a ton of Jack Sanborn, because that's kind of his specialty. So that's kind of what I'm thinking I'm going to see out of this defense, which I'm really excited about for Chicago. We're wrapping up here in a couple minutes, folks. We appreciate you all staying with us. But in regards to, who's going to have the biggest impact on the offensive side of the ball, let's take Justin Fields out of the equation and let's take Tremaine Edmonds out of the equation real quick. The two guys on, each side of the ball that are going to have the big impact on this game. Who do you think from a playmaker's perspective? Everyone on defense is a playmaker, but on offense, we really think of wide receivers. Let's take the offensive line out of the equation as well. Who is going to be that X factor on the offense and the defense for Chicago?
I think offense is probably going to be Chase Claypool, to see how can he be that second option. Is he fully healthy? It seems like he is. So that's the good thing going into this game. I think he's one where people are underestimating his ability. I think I constantly see people dogging him on Twitter, and I'm like, I don't understand it. Like, he had a tough season last year, but you just have to look at what he was able to do in camp, what the important people, what they say about him, not the media, not any fan. Like, what do his teammates say? And they all seem to love him. So that's one thing that I like. Cole Kmet's one that's in for a shout if we're in the red zone a lot, because he does get targeted a lot there. So I think those are the 2 I'll be looking at. In terms of defense, for me, it's most likely going to be Tyreek Stevenson, because I think that's who, if the Packers are going to throw the ball, they're probably going to test the rookie rather than going after Jalen Johnson. If he's able to acquit himself quite well, I think that's where the Bears will be able to be on the front foot. I think one other guy is if he's healthy, that you could possibly see maybe like a blitz sack or a strip sack. Jaquan Brisker, he's another one that I think a lot of people are waiting to see if he's fully healthy at all. He reminds me when he goes on some of those kind of blitzes of when Roquan used to do it, that kind of late blitz, and then he just gets in and just has a knack for going for the football. So I think those are the kind of the main guys on offense and defense that, other than kind of the obvious, that I'll kind of be looking forward to see how will they perform. I think of all the players that I mentioned, I think the one that's most important that has a good game is Tyreek Stevenson, because the last thing you want is the Packers being able to target a rookie, because corner is a difficult position for a rookie to have to play. We saw it with Kyler Gordon last year, but after a while they start to kind of understand the position, understand the assignment, and then they get themselves in good positions. What I do like about him is even when he has a bad play, he can kind of turn it around and still make plays after that. And I think that's something that he's going to have to be able to do.
And that's a veteran type move too. For a rookie to be able to mentally shake it off that quick, like Fields did his rookie year, very impressive. My X factors, want to hear your quick reaction to him. I'm going with Khalil Herbert because like we were just talking about, it depends on the offensive line. Herbert can do it if we have a good offensive line going or if we have a bad one. And if he's having a good game, this offense is moving the chains. It's going to create opportunity because the defense is going to force themselves in order to play a little bit more run coverage versus pass coverage, especially in the linebacker position and also from a cornerback time. So hopefully he helps open things up. And on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be Eddie Jackson for me. I think the secondary is so important. He needs to, like you were kind of saying, work with these younger guys still and make sure he's leading them, especially against Green Bay. He's played them a ton of times. He knows what it takes to have success. And now he's going against an inexperienced quarterback in Jordan Love, but also an experienced running back room in A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. Could be an interesting situation that they're in. Current last question for today for you before we close out. Score prediction. What do you think? Are the Bears winning? You said high scoring game, but let's hear that score prediction.
This is one I always kind of flip flop over. Like if this was not a Jordan Love led Packers team, I used to always say I don't pick the Bears to win until they prove to me they can beat the Packers. But I just don't believe in Jordan Love. I just don't believe in kind of if there was this next coming from Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is clearly not 100% last year. Well, if you believe in him, then you put the guy in because you know that you were going to be making this move anyway. So I think that's what gives me a little bit more hope for this. I think it's going to be somewhere in the realms of maybe like 33-30 or 32-30 for the Bears. And the reason why I think that is, and why I actually liked one of the guys that you picked there is Khalil Herbert. I do think he's going to have an important one. I wouldn't be surprised if he could be like one of the, I know people like their prop bets and stuff like that. I won't be surprised if he's one of the first touchdown scorers in this game because, again, we do see it a lot. Even that screen passing, the one for, what was it, the first preseason game, he was able to take it yard. So, like, while we do have multiple options in the running back room, I still think early on in the season, he's going to be getting the majority of those carries. And we saw how well he was able to play last year when he was given the opportunity when Monty wasn't in there. And I think you could see him being one of those catalysts for the Bears offense. Like, realistically, the Bears offense, the running game needs to work. If the running game works, it allows the offense to operate smoothly. And even though we have all these new weapons, we are still going to be early on the season. We are still going to be a run-first based offense. And a lot of that comes down to Khalil Herbert. So I do think there's a chance here with both defenses, not, let's say, a perfect unit on either side. I do think that there's going to be opportunities for both teams to score. So I'm going to go 32-30 for the Bears.
Love it. That's a fun, exciting score. Week 1, the change of the tide, the NFC North. I love it, man. And Karan, are you going to be, I know you're going to be watching the game. I know you're going to stay up for it. So everyone make sure that they go follow your channel, the Irish Bear Show. The link is in the description, but thanks for coming on, man. I know it's late there, but love talking Bears, especially Bears versus Packers. So thanks for coming on, my man.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde, and we'll see you guys next time.